Mary Iverish agus fáilte roimh go chlár eile de Matt and Michael's Lochta. Welcome to Trim again, and welcome from Michael and from Matt. Behind these walls on the Summerhill Road, Trim, is the Castle Arch Hotel. It's built on the site of the old Royal Irish Constabulary, that's the RIC Barracks. This was originally built as a military barracks and was occupied by various regiments of the British Army. That's the reason for the high walls around it and the large iron gates. These weren't typical of RIC barracks. In the middle of the 19th century, it was converted into an RIC barracks and it became the RIC headquarters for County Meath. In September 1920, during the War of Independence, the IRA raided the barracks. They captured 8 policemen as they attended Mass, and then they overpowered the rest of the garrison. They set the barracks alight and it was completely gutted. Following this, military and police terrorised the town, burning several shops and businesses as a reprisal.
Dia is Mariv a Quinn. Today's song is another old John McCormick classic called The Star of the County Down. And it's got a lovely chorus, which I'm sure you'll all know. So please do join in. The Star of the County Down. Near Banbridge town in the county down, one morning last July, down a mooring green came a sweet colleen, and she smiled as she passed me by. She looked so sweet from her 2 bare feet to the sheen of her nut brown hair. Such a coaxing elf, tried to scratch myself for to see I was really there. From Bantry Bay up to Derry Quay, and from Galway to Dublin town, no maid I've seen like the brown colleen that I met in the county down. As she onwards sped, sure I scratched me head, and I gazed with a feeling rare. And I said, says I, to a passer-by, who's the maid with the nut brown hair? He smiled at me and he said, says he, that's the gem in Ireland's crown. Young Rosie McCann from the banks of the Bann, that's the star of the county down. From Bantry Bay up to Derry Quay, and from Galway to Dublin town, no maid I've seen like the bright colleen that I met in the county down. At the harvest fair she'll be surely there, so I dress in my Sunday clothes, with my shoes shone bright and my hat cocked right, for a smile from the nut brown rose. No pipe I'll smoke, no horse I'll yoke, till my plough is a rust-coloured brown. But a smiling bride by my own fireside sits the star of the county down. From Bantry Bay up to Derry Quay, and from Galway to London town, no maid I've seen like a bright colleen that I met in the county down.
Here is a spring poem that many of us learned at school. It's by Gerard Manley Hopkins. He was born in 1844 in Essex in England and raised in a prosperous and artistic family. His father wrote poetry and had some published, and his mother read German philosophy and played music. Gerard Manley Hopkins studied classics at Oxford, and in 1866 John Henry Newman, himself a convert, received Hopkins into the Catholic Church. As a result, he became estranged from his family. He was ordained a Jesuit priest in 1877, and in 1884 he became a professor of Greek at the new university in Dublin. He died 5 years later in 1889, age 44, from typhoid, and he's buried in Glasnevin Cemetery, Dublin. His poems were not published in his lifetime, but his friend Robert Bridges published a volume of his poems in 1980, and he's now regarded as one of the greatest poets of the Victorian era. Spring by Gerard Manley Hopkins. Nothing is so beautiful as spring, when weeds in wheels shoot long and lovely and lush. Thrush's eggs look little low heavens, and thrush through the echoing timber does so rinse and ring the ear, it strikes like lightnings to hear him sing. The glassy pear tree leaves and blooms, they brush the descending blue. That blue is all in a rush with richness. The racing lambs too have fared their fling. What is all this juice and all this joy? A strain of the earth's sweet being in the beginning, in Eden garden. Have, get before it cloy, before it cloud, Christ Lord, and sour with sinning. Innocent mind and May Day in girl and boy. Most, O maid's child, thy choice, and worthy the winning.
The evidence is clear. It's a sausage, a whole sausage, and nothing but a sausage. How do you plead?
Guilty, Your Honour. But insane about Donnelly's.
Hello friends, here's a song that should get you singing and or dancing, because it's an old time waltz and it goes back all the way to the 1950s in my mind anyway, and the Walton programs which used to be on the radio every Saturday I think, and this song was regularly played, called the Homes of Donegal, and it used to be sung by Charlie McGee on his gay guitar. Well, I don't have any gay guitar with me, but I have nice accordion music arranged by my friend David, and as it's a nice old time waltz, maybe you can waltz as well. I'll sing, and of course in the immortal words of Dinjo, mind the dresser. So let's see how it goes. I've just dropped in to see you all. I'll only stay a while. I want to see how you're getting on. I want to see you smile. I'm happy to be back again and greet you big and small, for there's no place else on earth just like the homes of Donegal. I long to see your smiling children standing at the door, the kettle boiling on the hearth as I walk up the floor, and then to see a welcome free for travellers one and all, for your hearts are like your mountains in the homes of Donegal. beside the turf fire bright, and then to see prepared for me a shakedown by the wall. For there's rest for weary wanderers in the homes of Donegal. Time has come for me to go and bid you all adieu. For the open highway calls me back to do the things I do. But when I'm traveling far away, your friendship I recall. And please God, I'll soon return unto the homes of Donegal. And please God, I'll soon return unto the homes of Donegal.
Trim RIC Barracks was attacked and burned by the IRA on the morning of Sunday the 26th of September 1920. Nobody was killed, a head constable was injured, and a lot of arms were taken by the IRA. It was interesting that some of the RIC, the policemen, had been at Mass that morning, and the IRA waited outside the church to apprehend him on the way out. One of the RIC, in fact, hid in a confessional, and the IRA found him there and brought him out. So when I came to write a poem about this, I wrote it through the eyes of the head constable, who I put at Mass that morning, listening to the sermon, and, as often happens, his mind wandering on current events, the way his situation as a policeman in the town had changed, the way people looked at him had changed. I imagined this head constable, Patrick White, looking up at the crucifixion window and seeing there the figure of the Roman centurion at the foot of the cross. This is the Roman centurion mentioned by Matthew, who, according to Matthew, said, "Surely he was the Son of God." In some places, not in the Gospels, he's called Longinus. The title is long and descriptive. RIC Head Constable Patrick White contemplates the crucifixion window in St. Patrick's Church, Trim, during the homily at Sunday Mass, 26 September 1920. The last thing we need is this awkward attempt by an aging parish priest to balance public order, politics, justice, and the words of Christ. The people shift on their seats at his mention of Balbriggan, official murder and mayhem. Their heads bow at his caution and warnings. We, in our habitual positions, allow no reaction. On our way in, we receive the usual greetings. Nothing cheerful, just neighbourly, routine. From the grocer, we suspect of adulterating milk. The farmer whose calf we found. The woman on the late night Scarlet Street excursion we let off with a warning. The shopkeeper who swears he'll adjust his dishonest scales. Must have a cheque this week. The mother of that youth up before the magistrate for the affray at last month's market. She thanked us, said he'd learned a lesson. I doubt it. The younger ones seem different. The men less likely to talk about our health. The girls to befriend our young men far from home. And there was that high street grocer last week who refused to serve the sergeant, said he had no cigarettes when they were plain to see. No fuss, I said. There's plenty more who'll take our shillings when no one's looking. Up there's Longinus the centurion, on duty for God and empire. determined to fulfill what it is he signed up to, even in a godforsaken corner of an empire where the people followed the latest prophet promising paradise, where all attempts to make things better are twisted into front-page fodder, careless of the truth, whatever that is. His uniform is striking, as bright as the Birmingham glassmiths imagined it. Those golden tights would make a stir in Market Street. I must remember to buy a new shirt for the do in the castle, and if Bob Allen refuses to sell me one, I'll have an old one, washed and starched. Make the best of it. Another innocent victim. He's finished at last. We'll stand for the creed. Credo in unum Deum, Patrum omnipotentem. And now we welcome once again the young Trim violinist Shane Quinn, who is currently a student in the Royal Irish Academy of Music, a member of the Irish National Youth Orchestra, and leader of the Dublin Youth Symphony Orchestra. Here he is performing Johannes Brahms' Scherzo from the FAE Sonata for violin and piano. This was part of a collaboration between three composers: Robert Schumann, his student Albert Dietrich, and Brahms. Brahms composed the third movement. They called it FAE, which stands for the German motto Free aber einsam, translated as free but lonely. So here's Shane Quinn, accompanied by Dervla Brosnan. Enjoy the beautiful music. Thank you, Shane. And we'll end this week with a sing-along by Matt. We've already been to Down, so now we're off to Antrim. Until we see you next week, take care. God bless.
Far across yonder blue lies a true fairyland, with the sea rippling over the shingle and sand, where the gay honeysuckle is luring the bee, and the green glens of Antrim are calling to me. Sure, if only you knew how the lamp of the moon turns a blue Irish bay to a silver lagoon, you'd imagine the picture of heaven 'twould be, where the green glens of Antrim are calling to me. Soon I want to return to my own cushioned doll. It's the one place for me that can outshine them all. Sure, I know every stone, I recall every tree, where the green glens of Antrim are heaven to me. Should I be where the people are gentle and kind, and among them there's one who is dear to my mind. So I pray that the world would in peace let me be, where the green glens of Antrim are heaven to me. Shin and Will, I hope you enjoyed it.